joined us live from New York. Thank you very much. Now we move the focus to Middle East. Hezbollah's chief Naim Qassem has said that the group supports the Lebanese government's use of diplomacy to end Israeli attacks and implement the existing ceasefire agreement. Qassem has called the state's diplomatic efforts necessary and said that Hezbollah will continue to back them. However, he has criticized the decision to include a civilian representative in the ceasefire monitoring committee, describing it as a misstep. This comment follows the first direct meeting between Lebanese and Israeli civilian representatives in decades, which was held on 3rd November under the year-old ceasefire monitoring mechanism. Lebanon's president said the meeting aims to prevent a resurgence of war and maintain stability along the border. Qassem's statement highlights Hezbollah's support for diplomatic solutions while maintaining scrutiny over decisions it sees as politically or strategically flawed. Now for this discussion, we welcome Mr. Adrian Calamel. He's a terrorism scholar, joins us live from New York. Thank you very much, Mr. Adrian, for joining us again. Good to see you. Now looking at this, how does Hezbollah's conditional support for state-led diplomacy reflect the group's broader strategy of balancing political legitimacy with its militant leverage?
Good evening, Asuma.
Good evening.
Good to see you again. Thank you
you
for having me on the show. Good evening to all your viewers. This is very interesting if you read these statements, because this is a time when the Lebanese state is supposed to be disarming Hezbollah, and Naim Qassem's come out very strongly against Aoun on this, where it's, very, very strong words. That's where we are, where the United States is pressuring the Lebanese, president to disarm Hezbollah, and then now Hezbollah with Naim Qassem's talking about a diplomatic solution and Israel talking with the Lebanese state. You would have never seen this in the past if we had not gone through what was kind of the dismantling of Hezbollah, or large segments of Hezbollah. I think it shows a relative place of weakness of the organization, that Naim Qassem would say, this type of meeting would have never happened before in the past, and this is kind of where we are after 2 years of warfare in the region. That was kind of sometimes a sideshow, but really one of the main theaters was the Lebanon-Israel War of the North, as they would call it in Israel, and what happened there. So Naim Qassem obviously doesn't want independent monitors there, because what Hezbollah has done is they've created a parallel state. They've created a state next to the state, where the Lebanese state can't fulfill certain services. Hezbollah fulfills those services. So he wants to keep those institutions, parallel state, intact, and not to show that they've kind of bent over to the Lebanese government, I would say, and especially Israel.
Yes, and thank you for laying it out there. And Mr. Adrian, now what does Hezbollah's objection to this particular civilian participation in the ceasefire monitoring committee reveal about its approach to power sharing and conflict management?
Yeah, that's a great question, and that should really highlight what Hezbollah is. People like to separate the political from the military wing, civilian from, what they want to control the situation. They don't want any outside meddling. Even when you have groups like, let's say, UNIFIL, which is supposed to have been monitoring the UN Resolution 1701 about disarming south of Litani. If you look at that, that's an outside independent organization. And if you had seen outposts before the war kicked off, you would see UNIFIL outposts and then 2 Hezbollah command centers or rocket stations right next to the UNIFIL headquarters, or forward operating posts, or whatever you would want, monitoring positions. So they have, the they're in a place right now where they're much weaker, as I said before. But even then, I don't know if groups like LAF, the UNIFIL organizations have the capacity, and two, do they have the political will to disarm Hezbollah? And I think Naim Qassam is also concerned that if bring in an independent observer or a civilian, that's going to be someone that's not aligned with Hezbollah, that's going to it's going to muddy the waters for Hezbollah. What they're looking for is basically a tactical retreat for keeping their strategic long-term objectives, and that is to maintain and hold power and be more powerful than the Lebanese state itself.
Yes, and Adrian, I also wanted to ask you, how common is this role of non-combatant actors in security processes, like in this case, civilian participation in the ceasefire monitoring committee?
Oh, that's a good question. I assume I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna have to, as we say in America, punt on that one, because I'm trying to think of situations where civilians have been put in to kind of monitor peace situations. It's tough. That's a great question, but one that I'm going to be thinking about all night.
No worries, you can get back to me another time. And now that we were talking about Hezbollah disarming as pressure rises on them to disarm, but of course it is stronger than the Lebanese army itself. So when, in case, let's supposedly say that they do dismantle their organization, this Hezbollah, so where do these people go to? Like, how are they going to be de-radicalized, if I must say?
Yeah, that's a great question, and it just falls back on they can't be de-radicalized. You have to get them at a much younger age. This is something, the radicalization process that really happens. It starts at the age of 4, 5, 6. This radicalization process, and Hezbollah, just as Hamas, and this is where the peace plan is going to kind of fall flat, I think, in Gaza, is that they're never going to relinquish power. They're not going to give up their weapons. Hezbollah has on numerous occasions supposed to give up their weapons. They haven't. In 1989, to end the civil war, one of the things to end the civil war was there's so many militias running around the country. There are over 50 militias running around the country. Hezbollah being the most powerful of those militias, and every militia had to disarm except for Hezbollah. And Hezbollah was able to maintain their weapons from the Taif Accord. So, and they've just grown from there, and they're just not going to give up their weapons. I can't see it happen. If they were going to go places, the clear places would be the Islamic Republic of Iran, where they're closely aligned. They also have a very large diaspora in Latin America, in the tri-border area, Brazil, Argentina, Paraguay, where all those countries meet. There's places where they could obviously disperse to, but I don't see Hezbollah being displaced in Lebanon. When it comes down to the reality of the situation, I just can't see it happening.
Right. With that, I would like to thank Mr. Adrian Calamel for sharing that. Please stay with us as we come back to you for our next discussion as well. Now, moving on to Iran.